Hello and welcome to the Armor's Fix. My name is Kyle and today we're out here with the SIG 365 XL, more importantly, the Romeo Zero. Stay tuned, it's coming up right after this. All right, guys, first initial thoughts is, well, like everybody, it's plastic. Very unexpected, but insanely lightweight. It definitely makes me nervous, as it probably is going to with everybody, but at the same time, it reminds me of being in an armorer's school at HK and asking Bob, these plastic charging handles on the MP7, Bob, like how many of you guys replaced? And the answer shockingly was 0. And seeing a piece of plastic that basically angles like this, and as you pull, it pinches, and that's what releases it, and just that over and over, I was shocked to find out that it doesn't need replaced. So sometimes the engineers know more than we do, so maybe this is going to work out just fine. Now, that being said, with an RMR, I commonly will rack them by just using my hand on the optic and rack it back. You can rack it on objects, car doors, whatever, but I keep noticing myself wanting to reach around this. So do I want to change how I train just because I'm nervous about something being fragile? It sounds like it's probably not the best for gunfighting. However, those of you who are looking for a red dot that may help you out, that's lightweight on a smaller gun where you're having vision issues and everything, maybe this is a beautiful fit for what you're going to use it for. The other thing is, it's not built to go to war. If it was, they wouldn't have made it out of plastic. So I'm not too concerned about that. What we're going to do is actually run this thing through general stress. I want to see it get, mashed into a belt over and over. I want to see it take some palm strikes and stuff like that. I'm not going to throw it at the ground and everything because I know it's going to fail eventually. I expect it to fail. I also shouldn't be dropping my gun on the ground. So again, for the CCW guy out there who wants or needs an RMR to assist him, as long as this thing holds 0, it's probably going to be a good option. Our battery life, SIG advertises 20,000 hours. Obviously, these are really new, so it's going to take a while for us to see the results on that, to see if that's holding true, if they're going earlier, if they're holding out and running longer. The dot is a giant 6 MOA dot. It's not fair for me to say giant because there's a lot of optics that were like that. RMRs, those are super popular at first. Majority of the guys are going to the 3.25. And then, of course, there's the RM09 that's now at a 1 MOA on the RMR. Really, really cool. And again, like I mentioned, if you follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, tomorrow Trigicon's announcing some news. My guess, it's either going to be a 1 to 10 optic because that's what everyone needs to be doing and is now releasing, or we're going to see a micro RMR, or as my buddy Colin likes to call it, the murmur, that will go on some of these smaller guns, the Glock 43X, the 48, the SIG, the Hellcat, and the future of other guns doing it. Catch up, Smith & Wesson. We want to see a double stack shield sometime soon. All right, enough of me yapping. Let's go ahead and shoot this thing. I do have it zeroed, so throughout our shooting, we'll see if we're getting any impact shift or anything like that. Other than that, let's just have some fun. I will mention one last thing. I'm not a big red dot on handguns guy, not because I don't like them, it's because I don't have enough time behind them. There's a massive training curve with this. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying. It takes some time to get used to. There's just some weird issues that arise. Without getting into a big giant 10-minute training spiel, just know that it does take time to get used to it. But I'm already kind of liking the idea of it. Not bad. All right, guys, going to do a slow fire group and just see kind of how it holds. about that little guy. Felt judged. All right, guys, I'm going to step back on one of the points I made earlier again. The one nice thing about this, especially for some of you, a little bit of the older crowd, closer to retirement age, and after that, see a lot of you guys doing things, being involved in insurance security, elements like that, or just CCW in general. As you get older, you start having issues with eyesight, and picking up that front sight becomes difficult. And that's where the red dots really do shine, because it's much easier to pick up. And the Romeo Zero, definitely something worth checking out and thinking about if you are into the 365 XL package. If you're not into the SIGs, at least go check out one of the RMRs. You'll find that the RMRs, those smaller red dots I prefer. The other nice thing about a small red dot, crank up the brightness if you want it bigger. It'll start to starburst, big whoop. It at least makes it a bigger dot where you can find what you're looking for and get the hits you need. All right, guys, we're going to step back to about 45, 48 yards, get a little bit of the distance game, and see how this holds. And I'm going to compare it with my standard 365 running iron sights, see if we can see a distance there. Again, it's going to be an unfair advantage for the iron sights just because I am newer to the red dot game. But I'm just curious to see how it goes because I'm starting to like the feel of this. All right, guys, we're actually at about 40 yards. Running out of space here, running out of daylight, so can't get down to the rifle range, so we're going to go ahead and shoot it here at 40 yards. I'm going to run some through the red dot. I'm going to step into my iron sights, then turn back around to the red dot. So here we go. Go. SIG 365 with a little bit of a grip extension on it with iron sights. Cool. And 15 round mag. Back to the red dot. You know what's crazy and interesting about that, again, because I wasn't really sure what the results would be, so that was kind of fun letting you guys experience that with me, is I think it's very clear that I'm more comfortable with iron sights, but I'm telling you, the more and more I shoot with the red dot, the less and less I'm having to actively think. So as I'm first starting it and then stepping back to this distance, the red dot definitely seems more difficult. But again, through time and patience and hours of training, honestly, I feel like the red dot is going to be something that I can enjoy. Now, years ago, a good friend of mine, you guys know him as Mogas0311, or now on YouTube, Andrew Morgan, loaned me a Glock 19 for a while with a red dot. I had it for a few months. I shot the heck out of it, and I just couldn't get used to it. And those of you who have watched my channel long enough know that I actually come from more of a classic P-Series background, and that Glock grip angle was just too different for me. So I couldn't actually give the RMR a true test because it's just not the gun style I'm familiar with that I shoot all the time. So it's a little bit awkward. So I plan to eventually add one to a P-Series SIG. I've never gotten around to it. I've been carrying the 365 for a long time, so when the Zero was announced, I was kind of excited about this because I was going to be able to put a red dot on the gun that I'm used to firing. And honestly, it is a lot more comfortable. It's way less awkward than shooting the Glock. Again, for me, if you're a Glock guy, that would sound crazy to you. So this is in no way way me judging Glock. It's just I come from a different background. Comparing the Romeo Zero to an RMR, guys, there's really no comparison. You'll see an insert shot here that shows what the RMR looks like. Right here you have the RMR, and here is the Romeo Zero. As you're looking at comparison of these two optics, the RMR you're seeing is actually the RM07, which has a 6.5 MOA dot, and the Romeo Zero has a 6 MOA dot. But while the RMR is bigger, you can see it's a much cleaner, crisper dot, and it looks way smaller, whereas the SIGS dot looks like a big giant smudge. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe I got one that's got a sloppy red dot, or again, you could be just seeing the price point change right there and what you're getting for the quality, comparing the two side by side. Overall, for a budget red dot that's also tiny, that does go on some of these little micro slim double stack guns, it's pretty interesting. I like it. So far, everything's checking out pretty solid. Last thing I'm going to do now is we are going to thump this around just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Again, I want to see if it's fit to carry, not necessarily fit to full-blown fight. That may sound stupid to you, but again, I really feel like this is more for a crowd that's not going around slamming their guns into car doors, you know, bashing into walls, and it's not a SWAT team rated optic. It's not a go-to-war optic, but the guys are going to carry it and treat their stuff well. I believe this optic is probably good enough that it will take care of you for those situations. So let's move forward back to the front of the line and dabble in that, and then we'll check our Zero again. All right, guys, losing lights, I'm going to make this quick. One thing I have noticed as far as keeping it zeroed is the screws are pretty far off to the back, so I can get this to flex a little bit. Now, as I'm grabbing this and getting it to flex, I'm also getting the slide and frame wiggle in there, so it's not moving as much as you may think when you're initially trying to get it to flex, but we've got some flex there. Again, I'm going to go ahead and hit this. I'm going to focus primarily on one direction, because I don't want to sit there and fight back and see if it's going to come back to zero from hitting both sides. The goal is to see, does it shift or does it not? But I think that's going to simulate quite a bit of movement right there. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and load up a mag and see how it does with headshots. All right, enough of that test. Whoa! Sloppy shooting, Tex. You see that?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. All right, so that seemed to be fine. Everything seems to be holding zero really, really well. I'm gonna run it to the other direction, see if we get anything going on. Honestly, I'm striking that a lot harder than the majority of impacts hitting the ground, but the difference is soft hand versus hard ground. So I still don't think it's as aggressive as taking a direct fall to the ground. All right, still hitting where we need to be. All right, gonna be a little rougher, going ahead and using this and racking it off of that. One thing I like to do instead of grabbing onto a belt like they teach is actually racking directly off the leg. Basically, it's a strike into the leg and shove down as you get that hit. And we can do the same thing actually racking around in. Let's go ahead and use a mag that's got some more bullets in it. Whoop. This is for a one-handed reload. There we go. The naysayers can say what they want. I'm honestly pretty impressed with how well it's holding up. It's hitting zero. I'm not gonna move cameras because we're running out of light. I'm gonna go run back to the 40-yard line and let's see if I'm making hits from there too. Overall, guys, super impressed with it. It seems like it does really well. I mean, we haven't had to worry about any real drop tests or anything. Whoops. It didn't crack. It survived one. Let's go ahead and test it again. All right. right, there you have it. That's my review of the Romeo Zero. An optic I was definitely a little concerned about. Again, freaked me out, the plastic construction. One bright side to that is it is stupid lightweight. What was the...
0.4 ounces.
Yeah, 0.4 ounces on the weight. So you're basically adding nothing to your firearm. Honestly, what we need to do is throw the rear sights, the factory setup on the scale. That whole thing is metal. It's going to weigh more than the optics. So you're actually cutting weight by going to that. You still keep your rear irons because it has the built-in, again, plastic rear irons. But again, guys, we've smacked it around a lot. Racked it using my hand, racked it off my leg, went ahead and just dropped it once, and other than gravel debris sitting on top of it, overall pretty squared away. Honestly, durability wise, it's meeting any standards I think it needs to, fitting its place, what it's designed for, which is, again, is the average CCW holder who wants one of these nice micro overall, like slim double stack guns and have a red dot that'll fit on it that's not going to be extra wide like the current RMR is. Again, I hope we hear good news from Trijicon tomorrow on that. That's when their new release is. Guys, Romeo Zero for the, I believe, $200 price point, really not a bad way to go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get all future notifications on videos we post right here at the Armorer's Fix. I'll see you guys next time. We're good. We're good. It took two. See you guys next time.